Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, pause this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. In the context of this podcast, everybody refers to us and our cat. You are free to feel however you want about Rand, who is a fictional character. Don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragons reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
Speaking of eating, when I've been having Sunday dinners at my brother's house, and they'll, like, turn on a TV show for Liz to watch while she's eating, because otherwise she will not sit down.
Yeah, of course.
Classic. And Liz will get really, really pissed off that we are talking while we are eating. So she started saying, "Okay, everyone, time to play the quiet game." So that she can watch her show and nobody will talk, because she just is like, "You guys are too loud and you're so annoying."
Have I told you how we used to play Coma?
Yes. I mean, your grandfather, right?
I don't know if my grandfather instigated it. I just remember it being my mom's side of the family thing when my mom who has 4 sisters, many of whom are chatty, whenever they'd get together and they would just have this swarm of kids who just desperately needed attention, they'd be like, let's play Coma, and all the kids would just have to lay as perfectly still and silent as they could.
It's so fucked up.
I know.
At least Liz is doing it to us, I guess, not the other way around.
I'm like, I need to know who won most. I feel like it would be me, because...
Yeah. You're like, this is my natural state, actually.
And I was like, ugh, get away from me, you all.
Oh, terrible.
Don't want to be here anyway. Okay, well, that has been fun.
For once, we didn't talk about anime in the cold open.
Don't curse us by bringing it up now, because, boy, we were watching some whack animes, but we're not talking about it.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about anime this episode, because this is, in fact, not an anime podcast. It is Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Sally Goodger.
Someone turned on this podcast and is like, it's not an anime podcast. What? Who told you? I'm Emily.
I mean, it basically is an anime podcast, but
it might
we
as
won't
well
get
be.
into
That's
that.
probably why Devin hardly listens to it anymore.
Yeah, Devin is so anti-anime.
That's okay. I forgive him.
He has one flaw. It's his hate for anime.
I'm pretty anti-Marvel content these days, which sometimes I feel like is accidentally an act of revenge against him for not liking anime. It's not. It has nothing to do with him, but...
It's just hard to consume Marvel content after you, like, become a little bit more conscious of, like, the propaganda aspect of it, of just, like, really driving home the United States military-industrial complex and, like, our quote-unquote right to go around the world and save people. Really fucked.
Yeah, like, I saw, he sent me a good tweet that was like, actually, the new Captain America, if you guys are watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this is for you, I guess. If you're not, then it won't matter to you, because it won't. I didn't care about WandaVision spoilers when they were coming out.
Yeah.
But he was like, the new Captain America is actually the best Captain America, because he most represents America's ideals.
Yeah. It's true. They really did capture that.
That's true. I know he's sort of like antagonist almost in this series. I don't know what they're doing with him, but that reminds me, there's probably... Oh, no, it's Thursday. I don't know what day it is.
I wish it was fucking Friday.
For the love of fuck.
I wish it was Friday, man.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I don't have any meetings, though.
Oh, that's
once
great.
again, for the first time this week. So I can...
Relax.
Ish. Not get dressed up. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I can talk about Wheel of Time. I can talk about Wheel of Time all day. That's not true. I'd want to die. I can talk about Wheel of Time for 45 minutes.
That might be pushing my limits.
Yeah, that's true. Back when I was like a Wheel of Time fan and not a Wheel of Time critic year-round, which I won't say they're mutually exclusive, because I was still critical of Wheel of Time back when I was one of the fans, and I'm still a bit of a fan nowadays. I mean,
yeah, we wouldn't
read
be
it.
doing this if we really hated Wheel of Time that much.
Yeah, there are many interesting aspects to it. Anyway, that's not the point. Back when I was, like, into Wheel of Time, right after A Memory of Light came out, I distinctly remember Cambria calling me, and I was in the University of Utah library, and this is, like, a normal thing for us. Every, like, I don't know, 8 months or so, Cambria calls me, and we talk for, like, 2 to 3 hours. But this time it happened to be about A Memory of Light, because she had just finished it. It was, like, one of the most riveting conversations of my life. Just gushing. So, theoretically, I could sustain conversation about Wheel of Time for quite a while. But for now, my promise to you is only that I will talk about Wheel of Time for 30 to 45 minutes.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. It won't go farther than that. We're back with Matt. This is, Matt and Elena Nynaeve, that sort of trio of main characters and their coterie. First as they travel to Ebou Dar, and then as they get settled in their various, bases. What will be their bases in Book 7. It's interesting. There's so much, like, lead up to what feels like a entirely Book 7 plot. I never remember that they, like, actually get to Ebou Dar at the end of Book 6, because Ebou Dar feels so condensed to me within Book 7, even though, technically, I mean, the girls are still there at the very beginning of Book 8, and Matt is still there throughout Book 9.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just, like, the vibe of Book 7 is so much like we are in Ebou Dar.
Yeah, and I don't even think, we not even, like, get to Matt points of view in Book 7 until, like, a good third of the way through the book.
Something like that, for sure. They keep hiding him from us.
It's weird. It's just, like, a very, really neat, condensed plot line in its way. Like, I think Matt, by nature of his character archetypes, and I think we've talked about this before, is very episodic in nature. And so the fact that he's able to sort of bestow that upon Elaine and Nynaeve, two characters who are notoriously the least episodic in nature.
Yeah.
Who are the most difficult to, like, keep track of and care about, is just, like, ugh, such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, for sure. Episodic, I think, is a good way to talk about Ebou Dar. It brings us back to in season 1 when we were talking about Shadar Logoth and the way it kind of functions as, like, a little bit of a fairy tale. Just, like, it's got some of those, like, structural markers. You kind of see the same thing in Ebou Dar where they're, like, searching for an object, and you have a lot of kind of archetypes, like the evil queen. And I don't know, Matt as our many things.
Well, but yeah, it's interesting because Matt starts with quite a bit of freedom at the start of Book 7, and as we see at the end of Book 6 here. But that is, like, he slowly gets pulled into being this princess in the tower, essentially held captive.
It's got a reverse Tangled situation happening.
A reverse Tangled.
Untangled.
Untangled. It's like a shampoo commercial.
Matt probably needs some shampoo.
Matt probably needs to bathe, period.
Let's just sort of dunk him.
Yeah, like that scene in Princess Bride where Fezzik is sobering up Inigo, just dunking him from
buckets of buckets.
That must have been so hilarious to film. Mandy Patinkin, they're just like, you're just gonna ragdoll while Andre the Giant just shoves you in water for like 5 minutes.
And Mandy Patinkin was like, you bet.
Great, love it.
You bet, baby.
I love to see it.
I feel like filming that movie would have been very fun.
Yeah, me too.
But what do I know?
Sorry, that's all Book 7, though. We're still in Book 6.
We're just so desperate to leave.
I know, it's bad. And this is bad. The first chapter is from Matt's point of view, mostly about their travel, getting to Ebou Dar, and it is mostly kind of a monologue. There's not a whole lot of... it's like a travel log. It's a fucking diary of Lewis and Clark here.
Oh, Matt.
Mostly documenting the ways in which he is being psychologically abused.
Oh, I know.
It's pretty brutal. Matt obviously did not get clued in to the fact that they were not going to travel directly to Ebou Dar. And I mean, maybe a more mature decision of his would have been once he found out, being like, okay, well, we can't leave until I get food for my guys. But they kind of rushed through that, so now he's stuck in an awkward situation where his little troop of men did not bring proper equipment. They didn't bring, like, tents or shit.
Yeah.
They're just open-air camping. They didn't really bring enough supplies. And so Matt, there are these, like, sort of weird power dynamics where Matt implicitly but not explicitly feels like he sort of failed.
Yeah.
A little bit as a leader, and Elaine is just, like, brutally taking advantage of that by trying to undermine him at every given opportunity.
Yeah.
Which seems to be, like, an act of petty revenge for the fact that he won't let her take the Terengriel from him. Mm-hmm. Which, reading that conversation is so wild, because Elaine's like, come talk to me. He gets up to talk to her. She's like, well, I'm not going to take the Terengriel from you, even though technically the White Tower has, like, ownership of all Angreal and Terengriel, but I guess you can keep it. But I do require you to give it to me to study every night. And he's just like, no.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? It's my property.
I know, he's got a very good line where he's like, very nice of you to let me keep what is mine, or whatever.
It's like, thanks. Yeah. How benevolent of you.
Yeah.
And so she's just like, okay, fine. And then is like...
And then is a raging asshole for the rest of this road trip.
It's so ridiculous. And, like, as we find out, Elaine and Nynaeve are struggling with their own inter-Aes Sedai power dynamic, unbeknownst to Matt, who doesn't get what's going on. But Vandene and Adelius, who have been sort of sent as their de facto babysitters, are not honoring the Aes Sedai, like, code that Swan told us about a while ago, which is that the woman with the most power capital P, gets to be in charge.
Yeah.
Obviously, in this group, that would be either Nynaeve or Elaine. Probably Elaine, because Nynaeve doesn't have 100p control of her power.
Yeah, after Nynaeve's block
yeah,
goes away. I almost said crashes.
Crashes.
I mean, I feel like after her marriage is when Nynaeve as a character crashes, so.
I was thinking about how, like, when they're accepted, don't they wear their ring on their left hand, on their
Oh yeah,
left
she
ring
mentioned
finger?
like her third finger on her left hand.
No, she says she now wears it on her right hand, because when you're Aes Sedai, you can choose. But I think when you're accepted, you wear it on your left hand, and I was like, was that Robert Jordan's subtle indicator of being like, don't worry, they can't get married until they're full Aes Sedai.
Probably. It's probably a nod to nuns being married to Jesus. They are currently married to the White Tower.
Yeah, but once you're a full-blown Aes Sedai, you can have sex and stuff, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, Vandene and Adelius do not care to take orders from Elaine and Nynaeve.
And I mean, I don't blame them.
Yeah, and I mean, like, giving as much grace as possible to these two old women, it's like, how would you feel if I'm only 27, but if an 18-year-old was promoted to be my manager, I'd be kind of like, hello?
Beg pardon? My 5-year-old niece, 5, tells me to play the quiet game at dinner, and I'm like, I love you, but I will punt you into the sun.
I'm like, don't tell me what to do.
You are 5.
Fucking seniority.
Yeah. Obviously I don't, because I love her again. And Vandene and Adelius aren't punting Elaine into the sun, so they're, exercising the same restraint.
Yeah, but it's just like this like game of who gets to pull rank,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, they're just having this weird power struggle that, of course, is frustrating to Elaine and Nynaeve, because they've been dealing with this for the last 4 books, and they've been on this whack accelerated timeline, so of course they feel like they are due more respect than they are getting. that said, it's obviously no reason to take out your weird power struggles on Matt, who's literally just there because he has no choice.
Yeah, you forced him to come.
Yeah, you're dragging him along. It's not his fault that you're dragging him along, partly because you wanted to study his possession and he doesn't want you to. Like, you maybe should have talked to him about that before forcing him to come along.
Yeah, also, they keep attacking him.
Oh my god, yeah. And Elaine, or Nynaeve, says that this is instigated by Vandene and Adelius.
Yeah.
That's sort of a subtle thing when we get the Nynaeve point of view chapter. So Nynaeve and Elaine, I guess to their credit, didn't 0 to 60 go, okay, well, we'll just experiment on his Turing from a distance.
Yeah.
That was the older Aes Sedai, but they certainly went along with it.
Yeah, they were like, oh, cool. Vandene is trying to throw fireballs at Matt. I guess I will do the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's more like subtle channeling than actually throwing fireballs at him, but like still,
like you have to assume that at some point they were doing some like dangerous shit just to like test how good his Turing was.
Because they don't believe Matt is a real person.
I know, it's like ridiculous. It's also frustrating because in any normal like fantasy text where the gender dynamics are not an issue, Nynaeve, Elaine, and Matt would all be on the same team here.
Yeah.
And acting like it.
Yeah.
Nynaeve and Elaine would be like, at dinner with Matt, how are we gonna resolve this with Vandene and Adelius? It's better for us if we're in charge.
Yeah.
Matt could be like, here's what I can do to help you, the same way I helped Egg a couple days ago. Maybe I can actually defer to you guys, or at least do so publicly.
Yeah. Make a show of it.
Yeah, you guys could totally help each other. But because Robert Jordan is so hung up on this Venus and Mars shit, we lose out on what could be really interesting character dynamics and character development.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like, especially between Matt and Nynaeve, I do not care about what happens with Matt and Elaine's really non-relationship. But, like, Matt and Nynaeve grew up together. Like, this is a fun opportunity for those two characters to interact and, like, build on that relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Especially because we see Nynaeve interact so much with Rand and, comparatively, Edwene.
Yeah.
Both of whom are in this weird position of being her, like, charges, her wards, and then immediately getting promoted far above her.
Yeah.
It would be interesting for her to have a relationship with Matt, who has also been promoted, but she's an Aes Sedai, he's a general. They're at about the same standing.
Yeah.
They're peers now.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see them navigate that. But alas, we're reduced to seeing Nynaeve and Elaine act like 12-year-olds.
Yeah, they're basically, like, pulling Matt's pigtails.
Literally. And Matt, to his credit, is acting more like an adult than he usually does. Yeah. He's just like, I'm just gonna ignore them, because what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Clearly this is all about the fact that they want to touch my shit, and I don't want them to. Oh man, it is whack, guys. Like, it's just so frustrating to read. There's nothing fun or joyful about it. This chapter does not spark joy.
Throw it out.
It's just
Marie
like
Kondo.
Robert Jordan being like, I want to see how awful I can make my main characters and still have you, like, technically not want them to die because the fate of the world is at risk. And I'm like, well, you failed, because I fully wanted Elaine to die. Like, from this moment on. This moment wasn't it, but it was like the fucking icing on top of all her shitty behavior.
From this moment.
Yeah. As long as you're mine.
Yeah. Yeah, if Robert Jordan was like, I don't want you to want Elaine to be dead, he failed first time I saw her, probably, but especially now.
Yeah, I've given Elaine 6 books worth of chances, and I do not care for her.
No.
I'd be totally cool if she was dead. And frankly, everyone else is on thin fucking ice. Not literally everyone else, but pretty much had it with Tom.
Tom's done.
Julian shouldn't even fucking be here.
Characters in this coterie who can stay. Vannon.
Yeah.
He's done nothing wrong.
Yeah, Matt, obviously.
Nynaeve, Sean.
Because she continues to be interesting. Yeah, we're down to Matt, Nalishan, Nynaeve, Vannon, I guess all the sort of NPC soldier boys. But not fucking Elaine, not Tom, not Julian, not Oliver. He can get out of here.
I know.
Oh, Brigitte can stay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a funny thing. Matt finds out Brigitte is a warder.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like, okay, I'm sure she'll do great if she can shoot her bow.
Yeah.
And Tom's like, she can shoot her bow. And Matt's like, okay, you don't have to be weird about it.
Okay, you creepy old man.
Like, God.
Ugh.
He doesn't remember that she's a hero of the Horn.
Yeah.
It is funny, though, that they're also open about Brigitte being Elaine's warder.
Yeah. It's like suddenly
The
that's
secret's
out of
out,
the bag.
I guess, because she's no longer accepted. Technically, it's legal for her to have a warder. And I guess how else are you going to explain the presence of
this woman
who's just hanging around, not able to channel? But, I don't know. We do find out Brigitte finally fessed up who she is to Egg in a totally needless scene, since Egg already knew.
Yeah, Egg was like, okay.
Great, I knew.
Moving on.
Could you not be so weird about it?
Avienda is also here. I keep forgetting that.
I know, because she's not doing anything here in Ebou Dar.
Except threatening Matt.
Yeah. Oh my god, because they're like, hey, Nynaeve, why are you being so fucking weird about Matt?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, he threatened me, which is like the biggest misrepresentation of their weird situation
Yeah.
that I have ever read. You kicked him, and then he was like, don't kick me again or I'll kick back, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And you're like, he threatened me? Avienda's like, I have to kill him. I'm like, yeah. If a female friend of mine said her male friend threatened them, I'd be like, yeah, he's going down, bitch.
Yeah.
But,
bang, bang.
Oh my god.
That's just not what happened.
Yeah, it's not.
When I was first reading this, like a few hours ago when I was getting ready for this episode, I'm like, what is she talking about? Is she just lying?
She's just lying. She's like,
I didn't even remember the dumb kicking scene because...
Well, I mean, it happened 9 years ago in Wheel of Time page length.
And I was like, what is she saying? And Avienda at one point is like, Matt, you need to be nicer to Elaine because you're not letting her study your necklace or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, you need to respect Elaine. And Matt's like, maybe she could respect me first?
Yeah.
Or at all?
Matt's like, I don't need to respect the aristocracy.
It's true.
Goodbye.
You don't.
Yeah. So it's a deeply unpleasant chapter. Nothing happens except them going to Ebou Dar. We get to Ebou Dar.
Those weird power dynamics. There is a very, like, faded sense to it all, much in the tradition of fairy tales as they enter the city. Matt talks about the dice rolling in his head, which hasn't, in this book really, and hardly in prior books, been as much of a, like, physical thing as it is in the future. It's very much a visceral thing in book 7 and beyond. Like, you get that great moment where the building falls on top of him, and at the same moment, the dice stop in his head. That's, like, haunting.
And you're like, Matt died.
And you're like, oh, God.
Don't worry, he didn't die.
But it's,
Might
like,
have been better for him if he did, but...
a fun little spicy narrative technique to... to be like, here's Matt, he has a gambling addiction, and it is made apparent by the fact... And he also has a very weird relationship with fate.
Yeah. I'm just gonna stitch those together
into his little auditory hallucination. It's like, cool. I fuck with that.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's rad.
That's rad.
It's very cool.
But yeah, he has the dice stop when he walks into Satal Anon's in The Wandering Woman, which is where he will be spending the first half of book 7 before he's dragged into the palace, which, like, he also looks at the palace and is like, I have nothing against hanging out in palaces, because usually they're very comfy, but also there's nobility just all around.
Disgusting.
And that is the opposite of comfortable for me.
Yeah, and I am inclined to agree. He's like, I would so much rather hang out with the gamblers and the thieves and the alcoholics.
And just, like, flirt with people to my heart's content. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds a lot better than fucking whatever's going on with Tylan when Elaine and Nynaeve meet her. God, she's such a freak.
Is a freak. Satalanon, on the other hand, is lovely.
Satalanon's a beautiful, lovely character.
Yeah.
And she doesn't get enough credit for that. Anyway, so Matt's settled, more or less, there. The girls we catch up with after they've sort of bathed and gotten settled by themselves. They talk about meeting Marilil, who was the other Aes Sedai from Salidar, who was sent to Altara, or into Ebou Dar, I guess, to visit Tylin. She is immediately in the same boat as Vandene and Adelius, just very dismissive of Nynaeve and Elaine. Nynaeve and Elaine are like, this is going to be a huge problem. And I'm like, I mean, it's technically not. You guys could use this situation to your advantage.
Yeah, and just do whatever the fuck you wanted.
Yeah. Not have to be beholden to anyone while you do shit. But they're like, it's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, I just can't wrap my head around their desire to be in charge of everything all the time.
Like, I can understand wanting to not be in charge, you know? Like, it's hard when everyone's condescending to you.
Yeah, that's fair.
And being a dick, but yeah, you don't... Being in charge does not necessitate that you will get the job done any faster, given how slowly the wheels of Aes Sedai bureaucracy turn. Like, you guys have operated pretty much solo for the last 3 books anyway.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, I just feel like the smart thing, because they're like, we don't want them to take over the search for the bowl. And I was like, okay, well then make yourself scarce.
Yeah, I'll be like, see ya.
Yeah, do your own thing.
Like, you know, Egg's gonna back you up. What are they gonna do to you?
Yeah.
They can't, like, order you to get spanked or whatever fucking nonsense Aes Sedai do.
Disgusting.
I know. Anyway, they're just, like, chatting when a servant comes in to bring them to Tylin. There's, like, a misunderstanding. Tylin thinks there are 3 Aes Sedai. She thinks Avienda is one. But Nynaeve and Elaine get up to go on the walk through the palace to see Tylin. They cross paths with Carridin, who, if you have forgotten, because there are like a dozen Whitecloak characters and they are all pretty much the exact same dude. He is Bors from book 2.
The man who called himself Bors.
Excuse me, the man who called himself Bors from book 2, who is, I guess the only Whitecloak who we know for sure is a dark friend.
Yeah.
You know, the other ones are icky and weird, but, like, he is for sure an agent of the dark.
It would be a very powerful casting choice in the Wheel of Time show if, like, all the Whitecloak commanders were just played by the same actor.
Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
He's so good. And it was just, like, the bland white
just,
man.
like, they, like, did his facial hair different every time, so you're kind of, like, maybe it is someone different.
But it's not. It's the same man.
It's literally just the same dude over and over again.
Yeah, even in scenes where they're talking to each other. They Lindsay Lohan it in The Parent Trap.
Oh my god, that would be so powerful. I can't even imagine.
Anyway, Wheel of Time at Amazon.com or whatever.
You get, notes. Like, Galad joining the Whitecloaks and he's slowly CGIing into the other man. Or suddenly other Whitecloaks start looking like Galad.
Yeah, it's just like a horrible syndrome. They're all the same person.
Oh god, I love that. Yeah. They don't, like, speak to Carridin. I don't even think he notices them or knows who they are.
Yeah, but they're like, oh my god.
The last time they saw him, he was causing chaos in Tanchico, so they're kind of like, well, this is fucking eerie. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it is. But it's also like, clearly you guys are always just at the epicenter of whatever plot the Dark One has going on at the moment.
It's almost like your main characters in
this book. Almost like your main characters.
What?
It's almost like how Rand keeps running into Badon Fane, you know? These things don't just happen.
I don't run into my mortal enemy every other day.
No, not since I, like, left high school.
That's a good point.
Where it was regimented that you had to run into your worst enemies every day.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna make it as miserable as possible for you.
And especially since I don't grocery shop at American Fork anymore.
Bless.
Christ.
Anyway, they pass Carridin in the hallway, It's just like, oh, you just walked past Ted Cruz on your way somewhere.
That's the Zodiac Killer. I mean, it really is like walking past Ted Cruz, only we, the reader, know that he's the Zodiac Killer.
Like we know 100% confirmed Zodiac Killer.
We know that Carridin is the
man who called himself Bors.
The man who called... Anyway.
So then we meet the other worst person in existence.
The worst person you know. Her and Mazrim Tem are like having a cage match.
I hope they both die.
Yeah, I hope they kill each other. Tylin is the queen of Ebou Dar. We are reminded several times that Ebou Dar is not a fully operational power throughout the country of Altara. Tylin's reach, as it were, doesn't extend much farther than the city. And according to her, she gives a little history lesson. She inherited the throne from her father, who ascended from, one of the many squabbling noble families. And back then, even the political reach was hardly throughout the city. So, as a queen, she doesn't have a lot of power. It's like how Morgause is so offended, Elaine is so offended, that people in the Two Rivers would be like, you're not our queen. You don't do shit for us.
Yeah.
Have you built a road here in the last 10 years? I don't think so.
No, ma'am. We don't have any roads.
That's like everything for Tylin. So, I mean, at the very least, she doesn't seem as offended by it.
Yeah.
But she's like, hello. I guess you guys are Aes Sedai? I actually can't remember the bulk of their conversation. All I really remember is that they start out being kind of cagey with her, and then everyone gets very brutally honest very fast.
Yeah.
Like, Tylin's like, let's all just sit and chat and be honest with each other. And Nynaeve's like, okay, why is confirmed asshat Carridin in your palace? And she's like, okay. I mean, first of all, I don't have to tell you shit, because I'm the queen and I do what I want. And I could kill you. Like, that's another thing. Is entering into Ebou Dar, we are reminded over and over again that women have a particular form of violent physical power within this city that is legislated. Mm-hmm. So this is not a... Again, we can't really call any of the societies in Wheel of Time matriarchal, because they all exist under the umbrella of Robert Jordan's grasp of patriarchy. His matriarchies are sort of like this, like, incel fear of what will happen when women get power,
For sure. They're just gonna run around stabbing you.
They're like the Handmaid's Tale, but opposite,
And they put them in little bonnets.
The little bonnets. And your name is Ofgayle or whatever.
Ofgayle! Hello, my name is of Rebecca.
Of Becky.
Of Becky.
So yeah, there's like a lot of...
Sorry. Gale is such the perfect name. Oh my god. Okay. Gonna just laugh into this tiger.
So there's like this weird, male paranoia running through it. But essentially Ebou Dar functions as a matriarchy in that women and men are both able to duel with knives. Everyone is armed. Women are allowed to kill men and essentially get off scot-free if... I guess the idea being that women wouldn't kill men except to defend themselves. Mm-hmm. Or whatever. Which is complicated because I think women should be allowed to kill their rapists if they want to. Mm-hmm. But, I
mean, I agree.
But, it's not... State-enabled violence is never a good idea.
No.
And this whole idea that if men step out of line, or accidentally or whatever, a woman could knife him.
Yeah, the whole thing with, like, the marriage knives that they all wear around their neck. It's like a man gives it to a woman and it says, if I ever displease you, use this to kill me. And it's like, what? That's a big window.
Yeah, I mean, didn't do the dishes, bam, dead. fucking didn't take out the trash. Boom.
Stabbed.
And
then,
death.
you know, the city guard or whatever is like, hello, Gail, why did you kill your husband? And she's like, oh, he didn't take the trash out. And they just have to be like, completely reasonable.
Understood. There he goes. Viking funeral.
Yeah, let's throw him in the river and...
Throw him in the river with all the other men who married psychopaths. You know, so obviously this isn't, like, anything that would really happen.
Yeah.
But it is this perfect, like, setup for the type of environment that would force Matt into the situation into which he is forced.
Yes.
In the next book. Matt is unable to refuse Tylan's advances, partly because there is a huge power differential between them. She's a queen. But also because he is in Ebou Dar, where women are ultimately able to say whatever they want. It's like the whole... women can accuse whoever of raping them, and then men are all gonna get lynched or whatever. You know, that's a common refrain of meninists in the Me Too movement. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that doesn't happen. False accusations like that are so statistically incredibly rare. But, like, that is the fear under which Matt is operating.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, there's also just the fear that, like, she can just flat out kill him and get away with it.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things going on.
Like, he can't properly defend himself, because to be able to properly defend yourself against someone who might kill you, you also have to be able... You pretty much have to be willing to kill them back.
Yeah.
And he can't do that. That's regicide.
Yeah.
He'll get in a little bit of trouble for that, regardless of the circumstances.
Yeah, they're not going to be like...
Oh, she was going to rape you? No big deal.
It's totally fine.
Head of state.
It's so upsetting.
Yeah. Anyway, what happens between the girls and Tylan is that they are honest with her about what they're doing there. She is honest with them, and that establishes a different relationship than she has with the other Aes Sedai, which will enable Elaine and Nynaeve to grasp some power in the next book, and to be a little bit their own free agents. Of course, because they have this better relationship with Tylan, they should also be able to do shit about the fact that she is raping one of their friends. But, no.
Elaine is just a victim-blaming piece of shit.
Yeah. We've said it so many times, you guys, but Crown of Swords is gonna be, like, real rough.
Gonna be like, gonna refuse to talk about Elaine in Crown of Swords.
It's because she's the fucking devil.
Be like, she doesn't exist to me. She's dead to me. Tibble, could you groom yourself less loudly?
I know, it's the licking noises. Christ.
He's really getting in there.
Anyway, that's that. I don't really have anything else to offer.
No. I don't either.
It's just sort of an angry diatribe, I guess, but, what else is new? This is Lord of Chaos. We have, I think, like, one more, point of view with this group of people, but basically the rest of the book is going to be Rand Perrin.
Yep, we're getting into the big, scary shit.
Yeah, we're getting into one of those, famous Robert Jordan climactic sequences, which, to his credit, usually pan out pretty neatly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to reread everything that leads up to Do My as Wells.
Yeah.
Not in the way I think I will enjoy it, but I'm just kind of interested to piece it together again.
There's always, like, an interesting escalation.
Yeah.
You know?
Sir, you are killing me.
Oh, bud.
Just sort of looking me dead in the eye.
While he licks himself.
Yeah.
Cats do that. It's disgusting. Little freak. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Glenna McKenzie for our theme song. Thank you to our supporters on Patreon. There's a variety of extra resources there for you if you're interested. Sally has a blog all about Path of Daggers, which is on our own reread horizon, coming up pretty fast, so you can pair those pretty neatly when we get there. We're about to finish reading the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin in our side podcast, We Don't Watch Outlander, etc., etc., all of our usual stuff. Thanks for following us on social media. Rate, review, subscribe. God, I haven't said that in a while.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
Please rate and review and subscribe.
Yeah, that helps.
It sure does.
And that's it from me. Do you have anything else?
No.
Do you have a sign off?
Yes.
Okay.
You've already heard the story. It happened today when Emily's nephews were here.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Emily's,
so sorry.
Very sweet littlest nephew, Will, started crying.
Very loudly.
Very loudly.
Which he doesn't typically
he's not. Sarah informed me this happens like once a month for him.
Yeah, Will's an incredibly mellow child, probably as a coping mechanism for...
Sort of disassociating.
He's just like, ugh.
So, his mom, Sarah, like, went to check his diaper, only to discover that his diaper was full.
She had just checked his diaper, by the way. She had just changed it right when she got there, before you had come downstairs.
Yeah. So, she, like, obviously wasn't expecting anything. She was just like, wow, he's really upset. Maybe he needs his diaper changed again. So she wasn't expecting this, so she, like, didn't have her diaper bag with her. It was, like, across the room. And I was like, do you want me to go get it? And she was just like, no, hold his legs. So she hands me this poor baby's just naked legs and, like, holding him off the carpet because he's not clean. And Will is just looking me dead in the eye, just, like, shrieking at the top of his lungs. And I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so
Betrayal!
sorry. I'm so sorry. This is the first time we've met and you hate me. He was like snotting and crying. And I was like, I'm sorry, babe. This is a nightmare for both of us.
Sarah, why didn't she just let you go get the car?
I don't know.
She's so insane. Oh, God.
It was just...
I love him. Don't worry, will never remember.
I was just like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm just like holding you like a chicken.
It's exactly like a chicken when you're holding their legs up.
Yeah.
They're just like,
yeah. It was a very chaotic afternoon in our household.
oh boy, yeah. It was chaos central over here. All right, everyone. Have a good week.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.